He rode his horse into the great mosque of Bukhara. He looked at the survivors and spoke, "I am the punishment of God." His name was Temujin. Born with nothing on the Mongolian steppe, he would conquer more territory than any human being who ever lived. But to understand how a captive boy from the steppe became the most feared conqueror in history, we must begin at the very beginning. In the 12th century, Mongolia was a vast ocean of grass divided among dozens of warring tribes. There were no kings, no laws, no peace. There were no cities, no written laws, no ruler who governed all. A man lived by his clan, and clans survived by raiding their neighbors. Revenge was not a choice. It was a duty passed from father to son. On the steppe, an insult unanswered was an invitation to be destroyed. Into this world was born a minor chieftain named Yesugei of the Borte clan. He was powerful enough to survive the steppe, but just barely. Around 1162, Huailun gave birth to a son beside the Onon River. The child came into the world clutching a blood clot in his tiny fist. Yesugei named his son Temujin, after a Tatar chieftain he had just captured in battle, a name built from someone else's defeat. On the journey home, Yesugei stopped to share food with Tatars who recognized him. He was dead within days. Temujin was 9 years old. Huailun was left with 5 children and no protector. The clan that had depended on Yesugei turned and rode away. They were entirely on their own. With no animals and no men, the family survived on roots, berries, and whatever small game they could catch. Starvation was never far away. The years of hunger hardened Temujin. When his half-brother Begter began stealing food from the younger children, Temujin made a choice that could not be undone. Together with his brother Khasar, Temujin killed Begter. He was perhaps 13. His mother wept with rage, but something irreversible had crystallized in the boy. The Taichi Ud clan, rivals of his father, came for him not long after. They seized Temujin and locked him in a Cangue, a heavy wooden frame around his neck. He was a captive and a nobody, a boy from a broken family that no one had reason to fear. That humiliation would shape everything he became. A sympathetic man named Sorkin Shira helped him escape, hiding Temujin in a cart of wool during a festival. Temujin fled through a river and vanished into the steppe. He returned to his family, then found Borte, the girl his father had chosen. She was still waiting. He finally had something worth protecting. Then disaster struck again. The Merkits, a rival tribe, raided the camp before dawn and abducted Borte. Temujin barely escaped with his life. To rescue her, Temujin did something remarkable. He asked for help. He turned to Togrul, a powerful Kurultai chieftain, and to his blood brother Jamuga. Together they rode. The rescue succeeded. Borte was freed, though she returned pregnant. Temujin claimed her firstborn, Joki, as his own. The question of the boy's paternity was never spoken aloud. What the ordeal taught him would become the foundation of his empire. Loyalty earned through action was worth more than loyalty inherited through blood. His blood brother Jamuga was brilliant and charismatic, a natural rival from the same brutal world. For years they rode as one. Then ambition drove them apart. Where other warlords looted the moment battle ended, Temujin forbade it until victory was complete. Where others promoted by clan, he promoted by ability. His following grew. He turned next to the Tatars who had poisoned his father. The campaign was systematic. Any Tatar man taller than a cart axle was put to death. One by one, the great tribes fell, the Karites, the Naimans, the Merkits. By 1206, Temujin had done what no Mongol before him had ever achieved. On the banks of the Onon River, the clans gathered for a great assembly. The man who had unified the steppe was given a new name, Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan. Whether the name meant universal ruler or fierce lord, what it meant in practice was clear. Every tribe on the Mongolian steppe now answered to one man. He created a legal code called the Yasa, with rules for warfare, trade, and daily life. It applied equally to his soldiers and to his own sons. He built a relay system of mounted messengers spanning the entire empire. Riders changed horses at stations every few dozen miles. A message could cross Mongolia in days. His army was divided into units of 10, 100, 1,000, and 10,000. A soldier's loyalty went to his commander, not to his tribe. He gathered extraordinary commanders. Subutai, a blacksmith's son, became one of the greatest generals of the medieval world. Jebe had once shot Temujin's horse from under him. The first major foreign campaign was against the Xixia kingdom in northwestern China. The Mongols had never before besieged walled cities. They adapted, and they won. He turned then to the Jin Dynasty, rulers of northern China. In 1211, the Mongol army crossed the Great Wall. The Jin emperor was not ready. By around 1215, the Jin capital Zhongdu had fallen. Survivors described the bones of the slain bleached white across the plains for miles in every direction. Genghis Khan now controlled territory stretching from the Pacific coast to Central Asia. He was past 60 years old. He was not close to finished. To the west lay the Khwarazmian Empire, a vast Islamic kingdom spanning Persia and Central Asia, one of the wealthiest and most powerful states in the known world. Genghis Khan sent a trade caravan into Khwarazmian territory. The governor of the border city of Otrar accused the merchants of espionage and had them executed. When he sent envoys to demand justice, Shah Muhammad II had the lead ambassador executed. The other two were sent back with their beards shaved, deliberately humiliated. Genghis Khan went to a mountain, bowed his head to the earth, and prayed alone for 3 days. When he came back down, the decision had been made. In 1219, a Mongol army numbering in the hundreds of thousands moved west. Shah Muhammad had more soldiers and stronger walls. None of it was enough. Bukhara was one of the great centers of Islamic learning, famed for its scholars, its mosques, and its libraries. In the spring of 1220, the Mongols arrived. The garrison tried to break through the siege line and was cut down. The terrified population opened the city gates themselves. The great Khan rode in. This was the moment we began with. He rode his horse into the Great Friday Mosque. Juvaini, a Persian historian, recorded what Genghis Khan said to the survivors. If you had not committed great sins, he told the people of Bukhara, God would not have sent a punishment like me upon you. Bukhara burned for weeks. Samarkand fell within days. Urgench resisted and was leveled. Shah Muhammad fled west and died a fugitive on a small island in the Caspian Sea. While Genghis Khan turned east, his generals Jebe and Subutai kept riding. They swept through the Caucasus, defeated a Georgian army, and pressed deep into Russia. At the Kalka River in 1223, they met a combined force of Cumans and Kievan Rus princes and annihilated it. Then they turned around and rode home. Back on the steppe, Jamuga had been captured, betrayed by his own men. Brought before Genghis Khan, he asked for one thing, a death without blood. Genghis Khan granted it. Jamuga was killed without his blood touching the earth. The two had been born in the same brutal world. Only one of them left it. Xixia had refused to send troops during the Khwarazmian War. Genghis Khan had not forgotten. In 1236, in his mid-60s, he rode to settle the debt himself. During the campaign, he fell gravely ill. Some accounts describe a fall from his horse. Others, speak of a fever. The exact cause has never been confirmed. He gathered his sons and confirmed the succession. Ogjede would follow him, not Jochi, who had died earlier that year. The line of the empire was set. His final order was that the Xixia campaign must continue after his death. In the summer of 1227, still in the field, Genghis Khan died. His body was carried back toward Mongolia in absolute secrecy. According to tradition, the funeral party killed all those they encountered on the route to protect the burial site. The location of his grave has never been found. Trees were reportedly planted over it, horses driven across to erase all trace. He vanished into the earth. His sons fulfilled his final order. Xixia was annihilated. Ogjede then pushed the empire further, into Russia, Hungary, Poland, Korea, and deep into southern China. At its greatest extent under his successors, the Mongol Empire covered roughly 24 million square kilometers, more than twice the size of the Roman Empire at its height. Scholars estimate 30 to 40 million people died in the Mongol conquests. A 2003 genetic study found that 1 in 200 men alive today may carry his lineage. He rose from a captive's cage to the largest empire ever built by a single hand. What he showed the world is that history belongs to the relentless.